Welcome, visionary woman. I think that this episode is going to be incredibly important and impactful if you are a business owner who's trying to do it all on their own. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we might highlight some reasons why you should maybe allow yourself to have some support at the level of the expectations that you hold for yourself. What do I mean when I say that? You expect a lot from yourself, and I am going to say I don't think you're giving yourself the support that is in alignment with that level of expectations. So let's talk about it. I wanted to do a couple of episodes about some of the mistakes that are very costly and can really set businesses back that I see business owners making and my clients make because they're not working with me. And then we have to clean them up when they are working with me, because they're kind of winging it and they're kind of doing things on their own, and they don't have just a really, really solid sense of business understanding, business acumen. So they've kind of been doing things and not realizing that it's a problem. And then when they work with me, it's a bit of like, oh shit moment. And they realize that these things have to be sorted out. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this episode, which is going to be a 2-part series, is I've just had a couple of conversations with people, and I can tell from the way that they're communicating with me that they think all I do as a consultant is social media. And genuinely, that could not be further from the truth. I will help you with your social media. We can talk about your social media, especially if your social media is your biggest marketing channel. But we're going to do a lot more than that. And we're going to really look at the structure of your business and how you're running your business, how you're organized as a business owner, the profitability, all of these kind of things that have nothing to do with Instagram or TikTok. Like, these are all of the foundational, incredibly important things that most business owners aren't looking at because they're obsessed with social media. So we do talk about social media. I would say if you worked with me in a 12-week container, it's probably going to be 25% social media. If these points put a little bit of a fire up your butt and you realize, oh my God, I need to get some help, I only have a couple of spaces left for one-to-one work with me this year. And that's in the Sustainable Success 12-week program that's happening in October. And I would strongly suggest you book an alignment call with me. It's a free 15-minute call ASAP if you're starting to think about this. Okay, so let's get into these mistakes. I'm going to give you 4 mistakes and a little bit of awareness today, and I'm going to give you another 4 mistakes in the second part of this series. So the first one is an interesting one, and I always get really scared when I see people doing it, because people will often announce it on social media. And it is that they are hiring staff before they can afford to. Now, that's one whole piece of it. But another piece is that they are hiring staff without legal advice, and they are maybe grabbing contracts from the internet, or they are not setting people up with a clear job description and key performance indicators, and they're not routinely monitoring their performance reviews, and they don't have an understanding of cover, they don't have an understanding of the rules and regulations around employment law. And I'm not a lawyer, but I can advise you to talk to one. And I will say, you need a lawyer, or you need to talk to a lawyer, or you need to talk to this kind of person. So there's one piece, which is like doing it properly so that you don't get completely fucked later on. And if especially you're in Australia and you're employing staff, you had better be doing it in a very legally sound way, because our laws and restrictions are crazy. And if you get someone into your business and you haven't set things up in a legal way and they're not working and you need to get rid of them, you might not be able to. You might be stuck with them if you haven't done all of those things that I talked about before. Now, I'm saying that as someone who One of my last paid roles, I was in a company and I had 3 directors. 2 of them I had amazing time with. One of them was an absolute racist sociopath. Nobody liked him, but he was the one who started the business, so everyone was quite beholden to him. And I was literally fighting with him. I could not get along with him. And it was so amazing when he went away on holiday because we had such a great time. He fought with everyone, he had issues with everyone, and he told the other directors, like, we've got to fire her. So they fired me. But 5 days earlier, I had an email from them saying that they were going to promote me to be general manager. They'd never done a performance review with me. I only had positive feedback and correspondence. It was a literal, one director didn't like me, so they wanted to fire me. That's illegal in Australia. I got a $45,000 payout. Yeah. So I'm saying this not just as a business consultant, but as someone who has been on the other side and has threatened legal action against my employer for unfair dismissal. So I have been the person who can fuck your business. And anyone in their right frame of mind in that situation would have demanded more money, especially because I had been poached by an employer who wanted to have me for 10 years, 20 years, and I would have been general manager. Working for them had cost me money. So if you're hiring people and you're not doing it properly and you don't have someone in your business to say, hey, these are the things that you need to be aware of, you will probably get yourself in a situation like that, and you'll probably owe someone $50,000, and you'll probably be investigated by WorkCover and the Fair Work Ombudsman in Australia. And that is not a good thing. It is not a good look. It would be incredibly stressful. It can be incredibly expensive. So the first part is not doing it properly. And then the second part is hiring people when you actually can't afford to. Now, someone would only hire staff when they can't afford to because they don't have strong visibility around their figures. Now, if there is one thing that I could force every single person who interacts with my business, especially females, is I don't give a fuck what excuse you have. You should know your figures to the month at least. You should know financially exactly what is going on in your business every single month. I don't care if your bookkeeper does it or your accountant does it or you do it, but you are responsible to know that. You have no idea how many calls I get on with people and I go, how much money is the business making each month and how much do you want it to make? And they can't tell me. That is such a dangerous situation to put yourself in. Not having systems and bank accounts set up so that you're putting enough away as tax provisions, again, is something that I help my clients get sorted. Not having a clear understanding of exactly how much money you're making, which products are selling, which products the cost of service is really high and they cost you a lot of money to sell them, which expenses are highest, which expenses maybe you should not be paying, all of those kind of things. It is your responsibility. If you are someone who can't do accounting software and you can't do maths and you need your accountant to send you a monthly email itemizing a report, that's beautiful. Do that. But it is your responsibility as the owner, not your accountant's, not to have very clear long-term visibility across your figures. Things that I think you should know your profit and loss, you should know which products are making money, where your biggest costs are coming from, you should know the bare bone costs of your business running each month, including hopefully your salary and your superannuation and paying your team and factoring in your taxes. You should know how much runway you have, which is how much money in the bank you have for your business to run and pay you without you making any more money. You should have cash flow projections. You should be able to read a profit and loss and a balance sheet. If you can't do those things, you should have a business consultant. I'm a bit pissed off about this. Like I get fired up about this. Don't you dare come into a business coach and say, I want to make $300,000 a year and refuse to have visibility on your financials, refuse to pay for accounting software, refuse to pull your freaking socks up and open your accounting software once a month or open an email from your accountant once a month. that shits me so far up the wall that people have these manifestations, but they're not doing any aligned action and understanding of where they are. Now, it does piss me off, but I do have sympathy for it and I understand because I'm someone who most of my life I had no money. I grew up very poor. I had a go at my dad the other day. I was like, why didn't you ever teach us how to budget? And he said, because we didn't have enough money to budget. And I was like, it's not really how it works, but why didn't you teach me? And we just didn't have any money. And I was earning full time in my early 20s, but reasonable disposable income probably for the last 10 years. And before that, I was really struggling and I had a really big student loan debt. And I told myself for a long time that I hated money. I told myself for a long time that I didn't have enough money to invest, which is wrong. I didn't have enough money to save. And I just spent money really stupidly. And I refused to look at my personal figures and my business figures for a long time. So I know where you are and I know how it feels and I sympathize and I empathize with you, but this is me giving you a butt kick. That's not okay. If you're doing a little hobby on the side and it's just like a cute little thing that you're doing, okay, whatever. You don't need to look at your figures. But if you're telling me you want to make multiple six figures, that's bare minimum, yeah? So the only way someone would hire someone that they can't afford is if they don't have visibility over their figures. So if you do anything from today, please, for the love of God, put it in your calendar every month to look at your figures. And ChatGPT isn't amazing with maths, but if you say, I've got this much money in the pipeline, this is how much my business expenses are, how long can I run my business for with the amount of money that I have, how many sales targets should I have, what should my sales target each month be with this information in mind, it'll probably be able to help you a little bit. The next piece, which is just the same, but happens just as frequently, and I see this happening a lot with naturopaths and wellness practitioners, is renting a brick and mortar room or space, or God forbid, leasing a building before you can afford to. I will have people tell me that they're leasing a building, and then I will see their profit and loss. There is no way in hell you can afford a commercial lease. It's not even like finance, like you don't need an accountant to know that. You can see it. But if you don't know how to read a profit and loss, or you're just burying your head in your sand, of course, how do you know that? And people get really excited about it and they think it's a milestone, and it is, as long as you're doing it from a place that is logical and makes sense and isn't going to be detrimental to your financial health and therefore your mental health in the long run. Yeah. So, moral of the story, look at your numbers, especially before you let yourself get hyped up about doing things like hiring staff or leasing out a place. And this is like a similar vibe. And this is not financial advice. It's just my personal opinion and my personal viewpoint. And this is something that I would definitely suggest you speak to a lawyer or an accountant about. But hiring staff when you're a sole trader or a sole practitioner, from a liability space, and also from a tax and business structure space, that to me, I would never ever do that. You couldn't pay me to do that because of how dangerous and how much of a massive issue that could cause later on. If you're not earning enough to warrant incorporating, you're probably not earning enough to pay staff. Aside of the liabilities and the legal side of things, the fact that you haven't incorporated tells me that you actually can't afford staff, or you just don't understand tax and you don't realize what's going on. So these are things that I'm not giving you advice on, but I am saying if these are issues that you have, please talk to a financial advisor, an accountant, or a lawyer about them. And if you're working with me, I can explain it and I can also direct you to really good accountant, lawyer, and financial advisors rather than you trying to work it out and find someone. And especially when it comes to money, it's quite hard to find good advice out there. And a lot of the accounts and things are really swamped, and a lot of them are the way they communicate is really psychotic and really stressful. And it can make you feel like you're about to have a panic attack. And it's nice to find people who are a bit more grounded and reasonable to deal with. And I've done all that for you. And I've got my roster of people that I suggest and custom fit you to people as well. So there's a few mistakes that have probably scared the bejesus out of some of you. Some of you are like, this is so not relevant to me right now. Put it in your back pocket, because if your business continues to grow, it will be relevant to you later on. And some of you are going to be like, yeah, duh. Preaching to the converted. We'll come back in a couple of episodes to this series, and I'll come back with another 4 of these really big mistakes and talk from my own experience and also my experience of working with clients and saving them a ton of money and a huge amount of stress in the long run. If you got anything from this episode, if it sparked anything for you, please rate and review. Please share it on social media. We want to support other women. This is a free resource where we're getting out to support everyone, and we just want to share it with the right people.